appreciate the hard work that the folks at Old Fort have done to get back up on their feet. I was here soon after, and one of the first things you told me about was the old DNCR museum property on the river that was all falling apart. You said, please, we can't rebuild until we clean up. And that was when, actually, Secretary Wilson, who is the DEQ secretary, used to be Secretary of Natural and Cultural Resources, and he got on that right away. So Reed is doubly good to the people of Old Fort. Always good to be with legislators, Senator Daniel, Representative Prather, Representative Green, Representative Adams. Thank you. I want to really express my appreciation to the General Assembly that have been working together on a bipartisan basis to work with my administration, do everything we can to get North Carolina, Western North Carolina, back up on its feet as quickly as possible. And it's been a good team effort, and I'm very grateful. The people and communities of Western North Carolina have been busting their tails to get up on their feet after this storm. And what I ask my administration to do is work with the same level of urgency that the people of Western North Carolina are to help them recover. Last week, Secretary Wilson and I announced that the state is awarding $270 million to 26 Western North Carolina counties, towns, and water authorities. The funds are going to strengthen 58 separate water systems across the region. North Carolina got this EPA disaster money out for water systems faster than any other state impacted by Hurricane Helene. Urgency is the name of the game. I want to thank Secretary of Department of Environmental Quality, Reed Wilson. I want to thank the Division of Water Infrastructure Director, Shadi Eskoff. Where's Shadi? He and his team moved mountains. Not Western North Carolina mountains. Mountains of paper. Mountains of paper. We want to be first every time we can when it comes to recovery, and they delivered, and I'm really grateful. As we all know, this hurricane damaged or destroyed critical infrastructure across the region. Old Fort was not immune. Their wastewater treatment center, which we visited months ago, was underwater 14 feet. 14 foot of water above the wastewater system. A number of towns in the region didn't have clean water for more than a month. We all remember that era when it was just gallons and gallons of bottled water coming this way. I can also remember when I came back and everyone said, if I never see another bottle of water, I will be happy for the rest of my life. I'm pleased to report that 99% of water systems in Western North Carolina are back online. Now, let's be clear. A number of these are back online due to ingenuity, duct tape, and baling wire. There's a lot of work to be done to make them resilient. We cannot build them back just the way they were. It needs to be built more resilient to future flooding, and that's a requirement of this funding, that it be built stronger. Because we're not only restoring, we are building North Carolina back stronger than it was before. While Hurricane Helene may have been the worst, most damaging storm in state history, we all know it is not the only storm to have hit us. In fact, in the last 8 years, we've had 3 1,000-year storms. I don't think 1,000-year storms means what it used to. We have to be better prepared to withstand these storms when they hit our state. Projects like this one in Old Fort is just one example of how DEQ is incorporating resilience into that recovery work. This year, the Division of Water Infrastructure has announced more than $850 million of investments in drinking and water systems, wastewater systems across the entirety of the state. Just last week, Secretary Wilson was with Representative Bell in Wayne County breaking ground on a new stormwater wetland basin that will protect businesses and roadways from flooding in the future. More than that, it will save lives. We must use every opportunity we can to maintain, not just maintain the status quo, but improve upon it. We have to strengthen our communities in Western North Carolina and across the entire state. That's how we will keep towns, that's how we will keep people safe from natural disasters and prepare them to succeed in the future. At this point, I'll ask Secretary Wilson to come forward.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to see you here, and it's nicer in here than it is out there. Mayor Snipe, you remember back in the spring, I think I came to visit just down the road where the stream bank had been destroyed by the storm, and there were drinking water pipes broken laying down in a creek, and you just had this huge task ahead of you, and you still the town still faces a lot of repair work, but it is wonderful to see and to know that Old Fort has made so much progress since then. And Old Fort is not alone. I mean, all across the mountains, towns have experienced major damage to their drinking water systems, their wastewater systems, their septic systems. Here it washed away portions of the water distribution system and the wastewater collection systems in several areas. And it was just kind of amazing to see that extent of devastation when I was here then. This is really important stuff. What is more basic to our lives and our quality of life than safe drinking water and having streams with good water quality, clean water, clean air? These are basic necessities of life, and this storm imperiled all of that in mountain communities. But at the time, the communities and DEQ and the governor's office and other state agencies and EPA all came together to do whatever we could as fast as we could to repair those systems and bring them up to a condition where at least they could work, even if there was baling wire and duct tape. But now we're into the longer term. How do we rebuild these places, these systems, so that they are more resilient to what surely will be more storms that we will see in the future? So Congress did appropriate funds in December of '24, and $685 million of that went through EPA and to North Carolina, to our Division of Water Infrastructure. And again, last week we announced $270 million of that going out to 58 different projects in the mountains. Previously, we had approved $86 million from that overall sum for 14 different projects. So that is a lot of money, but we know that the need is going to be even greater. But again, I would emphasize something the governor said. North Carolina was the first Helene state to get that money out the door awarded to communities. And here in Old Fort, there's a couple pieces to it. One is $10 million for drinking water system upgrades and repairs, and the other is $5 million for sewer system upgrades and repairs. Also, previously, we had made available to the town a $3 million bridge loan, and they have used about $500,000 of that to start doing the repairs in the creek so that they can rebuild the stream bank and have the piping systems more resilient than they were before. I do want to thank our team at the Division of Water Infrastructure and their colleagues in the Division of Water Resources who have also been helping all along the way. But it's pretty incredible what Shadi Askoff and his team have done in the Division of Water Infrastructure. Total $877 million this year when you do the Helene money plus all these other funds they have gotten out to communities. If you're a community that still needs funding from the Helene money, we have $329 million more to allocate, and you have two more deadlines, January 9th and March 2nd. And we are here to help you figure out how to apply for those fundings because we know you need it. I'll just mention one other thing about resilience. Our department has something called the Flood Resiliency Blueprint. It is a tool that local governments can use to identify the highest priority projects where they live to invest in resilient measures. So it allows a town or a county to figure out what they can do to get the biggest resilience bang for the buck. It could be bigger culverts, it could be stream restoration, it could be almost anything. But it's available to every town in the state, every local government for free. So look up the Flood Resiliency Blueprint, and we have more funding from that coming to mountain communities early next year. And again, I want to stress the importance of this water infrastructure work. It ensures that people throughout the mountains will have safe drinking water, which means their families will be healthy, and it means that the streams will be healthy for habitat, for fish, other critters out there. And so when it's time to go fishing or time to go swimming, people can feel safe and secure being in those streams. So we're really excited about this announcement of all this funding. We look forward to working with the communities to actually make the projects happen, and we'll have more of them in the future. So thank you all very much.
At this point, we're happy to take questions, and you can direct them to any of us. Yes. In terms of this particular $15 million projects, Mayor, do you have a sense of how long it'll take to get this $15 million in the ground?
Years. This 15, I'm sorry.
You're good.
The $15 million, like they were saying, $10 million of it is for the water line repair and replacement. $5 million of it is for the sewer line repair and replacement. And adjacent to that is for manholes and fire hydrants. The water, we're talking 23,600 linear feet of water lines we'll be dealing with. In the sewer, we're talking 5,500 linear feet. So the projects that this grant money is going to support will take years to complete. It's not going to be a fast process, but once it's completed, the town of Old Fort's water and sewer system will be one of the best in the western North Carolina.
Any other questions? Yes, sir. Well, when you look to see what the scope of the damage was of Hurricane Helene, is it would cover the entire region. And it was a deluge on every jurisdiction. The big city of Asheville, the next biggest city of Hendersonville, but lots of small towns. And Old Fort was not alone. And there were, what'd you say, we have 58 projects here in Western North? Yeah. So 58 projects, just like Old Fort. And so that and the fact that they have a great restaurant, Hillman Beer, that we like to visit every chance we can. This is where the relief makes a difference in the lives of Western North Carolinians. And we're doing this all over the region. And just really proud of the work of the entirety of my administration in partnership with the General Assembly. This money, by the way, was federal money. It came from the appropriation at the end of 2024. And it takes a whole of government, local, state, and federal, for us to ultimately succeed in this enterprise of recovery. I will note that the federal government, and we will be appreciative of every dollar, like these dollars that we receive, they have not appropriated enough funds. We, as a state, have received over $6 billion. That sounds great, but when you compare it to $60 billion in damages, it was about 11%. Typical after a storm like this, the federal government will help with about 40 or 50% of the damage in relief aid to the local, to the area, to the region, to help them recover. So we are tens of billions of dollars shy of that. I have a $13.5 billion appropriation request in Washington right now. It's with our congressional delegation. It's with the OMB, Office of Management and Budget of the White House. And we will keep championing the need for the federal government to do more. When they give us resources, we will steward those resources responsibly. We will move them urgently and with accountability. We have been championing our local governments that put money out the door with the full expectation that FEMA would reimburse them. It's called public assistance. When a lot of these local water systems, they got approval from FEMA, go ahead and fix that. Or there was all this debris. Let's get the debris out of the area. You go ahead and do it. We'll reimburse you later. Those reimbursements have been incredibly slow, incredibly slow. There's about $1 billion worth of money that has been expended by local governments in various stages of review in FEMA as we speak. Unfortunately, FEMA, the Secretary of Homeland Security, added another level of bureaucratic review before those reimbursements can happen. She has to sign off, the Secretary of Homeland Security has to sign off on every reimbursement of more than $100,000. Practically every one of these projects is more than $100,000. So it's adding an additional layer of red tape. We've been working extremely well with our congressional delegation. Particularly want to give shout outs to our U.S. senators, Senators Tillis and Budd, Representative Edwards. They've been working hard to break that money loose. We have been working hard with the administration to break that money loose. We had, I think, about 28 million that was released last week. Wonderful. But there's another 50 or 60 million on the desk today. And what happens is it just immediately builds back up because it's taking too long for that review to happen. I've offered the position. I have not heard back from my staff that he said yes, so I'm not going to say a name yet. Just heartbreaking, I just learned about it 20, 30 minutes ago. I don't know that we know the number of casualties. Obviously, a number of people were impacted. Our hearts go out to those families. Nothing more tragic way to walk into the holiday season. I will say that the SBI, State Bureau of Investigation, the Highway Patrol, they're on the site. They're working with the FAA. They're working with the local sheriff. So this is, again, a whole of government approach, local, state, and federal. And they're going to do everything they can to figure out what happened because we don't want these kinds of accidents to occur. Just heartbreaking. Thank you.